Alright, Tyla's career is falling apart and it's all her fault. Video by Don Angelo. Is that how you say Angelo? I've been hearing a lot of talk about Tyla, that she's flopping or this and that nature. I thought it was going swell. You know, her first album, it wasn't the best first week sales, but I just thought that's not a death sentence for her. I just thought that she would eventually go on to have great heights, great success and stuff like that. She's very talented. So I guess my prediction did not come into fruition and she's in a bit of trouble. Let's figure it out together. I'm Tyla, by the way. Hope you're having a wonderful day.
Hello, my grandbabies. I am Don, your medieval pop culture grandpa. Now, if you are no stranger to this channel, you should know that I love the South African artist Tyla, which might be controversial to say because she is kind of universally disliked online outside of her core fan base.
Universally disliked is crazy. I didn't know that.
For numerous reasons, and some of those reasons I will get into in this video. During the global splash of her single Water in 2023, she was projected to being the next huge international global success, following in the footsteps of notable names like Shakira and Rihanna, because they share similar come-up stories of leaving my homeland and making it big in the United States. And technically, Tyla did broke through and quote-unquote made it in the US. However, after her smash single eventually died down, the singer's career trajectory became shaky because, oh no, she hasn't had another follow-up single that matched or surpassed the success of Water. Now, if you don't know Water, you haven't heard it before, here's a video of Blac Chyna's mom singing the lyrics while being annoyed.
Make me sweat, whatever, make me hot.
After Water, what instead pursued
was ubiquitous. The record was ubiquitous. And then this is where I arrived that she was being talked about as an industry plant online. And I just thought that here's an interesting discussion. At one point, do we say this person's an industry plant versus this was artist development? Because artist development is different than industry plant. If this artist has no ties to the industry and did not know anybody and they were discovered and then developed, that's artist development. That is an industry plant. They're two different things. You know, that's what I thought.
Was mainly damaging controversy, resulting in a lot of online discourse that the vivacious South African artist's career is fizzling out. So in this video, let's focus on Tyla's career and why people might be right about her career falling apart. I am Donnie Pop Culture Boy. Let's get into it. As I mentioned earlier, I've talked about Tyla.
What's with the last name? You might be Dominican too. I know black, I'm Dominican. Don Angelo? You must be Dominican because I thought you was black. Neither here nor there. Not important. The important subject matter is Tyla. All right, let's get back into it. Let's get focused.
Several times, and I even made a dedicated video here on this channel. Since that dedicated video, the animosity towards Tyla is a part of a bigger problem. Watch that video if you haven't. In that video, I talked about the growing implications of her racial identity once she started penetrating the US music scene, and how the diaspora wars has affected her career along with the many conversations she's been in, such as her being an uppity African, she's a mean girl, and the infamous industry plant title that has been attached to her image since her inception as the newest from the continent of Africa that will take the world by storm. Since that video, the microscope of scrutiny, online cancellations, along with penetrating bombastic side eyes has only intensified. I don't know about you, but it appears to be Tyla's music is very much the last thing on the general public's mind, at least in the US. There's no doubt she has fans, but her fan base isn't that large where she can rely solely on her base in the same capacity when compared to Nicki Minaj's
Nicki's losing her fucking marbles right now. Holy.
Cult known as the Barbs, or Beyonce's coven that is the Beehive. The point I'm making is the general public has control over Tyla's career, for now at least. Her fan base is way too small to keep her afloat or to drown out the negativity that surrounds her. Again, this is based on her US reception, and the US audience for the most part can't stand her ass right now. But all of that can change in the blink of an eye. One of the last, let's say, backlash Tyla got was regarding her Coachella outfit, taking inspiration from Britney Spears' iconic 2001 VMA's I'm a Slave for You performance, according to online users. Now, if you can't remember anything, constantly being bombarded with brain fog, like me, let me refresh your memory on this silly yet sort of kind of pivotal moment before it all started feeling like a fever dream. The speculation started after Tyla wore a green bra during the second weekend of the Coachella Music Festival. The look included a pair of unbuttoned, unzipped shorts. The piece was also adorned with beaded and green fringes as well as safety pins. Now, when we do a side-by-side
I remember this discussion. I felt it was silly, but yeah, I remember this. I do remember this.
comparison, back in 2001, Britney wore a draped, cutout green bra top, which was adorned with pink jewels at the center and on the spaghetti straps.
I'm not seeing the similarities. I'm seeing a coincidence. I'm not rolling. I'm not rolling with this one. I don't think I was rolling when it first came out. I was like, okay, all right, whatever the general public says, whatever. I just didn't take place in it. I was just like, okay, all right. But I think they already decided that they were going to, I think with the industry playing in the uppity black thing and just her saying that I am no black, you know what I mean? I am not black. And she just was like, yeah, or no, what she say? She said, I'm not black, I'm colored. Is that what she said? Yeah, black Americans ain't like that shit. Not at all.
Spears paired the look with tiny shorts featuring a butterfly motif and a series of charms hanging on the waistline. The look also included a long, flowy blue-green fabric cascading down her legs. Needless to say, the looks are almost identical. After being called out or being called a copycat, Tyla responded to a now deleted tweet that read, "I know a Britney Spears reference when I see one." Homegirl saw that tweet and fired back replying, "Love her. But I just thought the outfit was fly. No inspo."
Bullshit! I think am I the only one gonna be like, I think she was genuine? Cause I would be like, it's a coincidence. Like, and just like, oh. And it could be the subconscious, which like, it could be like I was inspired subconsciously. That could be a thing. And I didn't know it. Like, and it's just like, they pointed it out and I was like, it's a coincidence. But no, that didn't come to mind when I picked the outfit. That could be a scenario too. But you let me know in the comment box down below. You let me know. She better not have.
A response that made the situation bigger than it was, which I'll explain why in a bit. Another user hopped on the thread saying, "I personally think she's a copycat and too full of herself." To which Tyla followed that with, "Personally, I think you should shut the fuck up."
I saw this one. Yeah, I did see this one. It's kind of hard to tell an artist not to be so involved in the discourse surrounding their name. I do, and she's early on her career where it's kind of she's artist building her she has to work her record online through TikTok, through Instagram, through Twitter, X, whatever. She doesn't have the luxury of being removed, and I don't think it's a good idea for her team to run her socials and her being detached from it. So there has to be some sort of moderation because more people in the general audience find this distasteful than the other side, the alternative, which is like she's defending her name when that may not be necessary. I could see how that come across as just like this was unnecessary energy. But I see both sides, to be honest.
Oh,
Lord Jesus.
While I understand the desire to clap back at trolls or setting the record straight, in this case, I think the better response would have been no response at all, because it is a petty situation. Plus, her response came off as dismissive, and
it didn't add anything to the conversation. It kind of just, yeah, it was probably best that she didn't respond at all to begin with.
a little hostile, I'm not gonna lie. She said there's no inspo when the looks are identical. And it's not that she quote unquote lied that made the situation worse. No, because pop stars lie all the time. People lie all the time. Look at SZA. SZA lies all the time, but is the biggest R&B
She can't help it. She can't help lying. I ain't gonna lie.
star in the world right now. What made it worse had more to do with the cultural clash that is already setting her back in her career. There's multiple narratives out there that she's an uppity African who thinks she's better than Americans floating around.
I'm probably gonna get fried for saying that I don't think I think it's a coincidence, not identical of the two outfits. I'm probably gonna get fried online, and that's okay. That's my opinion. I do think a lot of Africans look down on Black Americans. I just think that that's just they separate themselves when we really should have more unity. And if you're going to be selling, if not the majority, but the U.S. market is very particular. The U.S. in terms of just winning over the U.S. market, Black Americans. Once you win them over, they're going to be very loyal to you and they're going to be very accepting. But if you are African, you're still going to be classified with Black Americans because that's going to be the majority of your audience. They're going to be the ones propelling you to pop stardom first, because Black Americans' influence is parallel to none. The influence in the cultural currency and what they decide is hot usually becomes hot. But if you piss them off early, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot. So there could have been ways that Tyla could have been a little bit more tasteful about how she approached a really important part of her audience, an integral part, because she can't just rely on what he had said, I agree with. She can't rely on just her music at this moment in time. Like, she has to really be likable. As a pop star, part of it is being likable. Like, you're selling an image with the music. If your image falls apart, it's going to be very hard for you to sell the music.
Hence, her saying no inspo can resonate as a slap in the face to the American audience, as it appears she's taking from an American pop icon while being perceived as somewhat tone deaf towards American culture, which is the main reason why I'm bringing up this insignificant turned significant situation. A better response would have been along the line of, I had no idea.
That's funny. That's comedy.
Honestly, when I chose the outfit, Britney never came to my mind.
Not the accent.
However, I am now looking at the side by side, and oh my god, they are similar. But I love Britney Spears. She's so iconic. What a coincidence, eh? If you
It's crazy, bro.
You could choose the scope of success of your first major single, what would you choose? A worldwide global hit that gets overplayed to death, or a chill bop that misses the charts completely? After the impact of Tyla's single Water, it flooded the pop landscape.
No, you don't want to miss the charts completely, and you're being compared to Rihanna early on. You can't do that. That's not the wave either.
Made TikTok due to its viral dance trend and peaked in the Hot 100's top 10, all of which sounds like a blessing for Tyla. However, thus far it has turned out to be a curse, which I'm now coining the water curse. You see, whenever an artist is catapulted to stardom at such a fast rate like Tyla has, it set the artist up where audiences' expectation of said artist goes through the roof, which isn't always a good thing, as when expectations are set extremely high, it's almost impossible to reach. During Water's hype, Tyla's team did what any artist camp would have done, ensuring she got exposure through social media posts, interviews. Tyla's career is currently in limbo, as you're only as successful as your last single in this current climate in music. Water has set these standards really high, and it appears Tyla is struggling to catch up. When Water happened, I wasn't ready to make mistakes.
That's the thing about, like, when your record takes off before you're ready, the record becomes bigger and you're trying to catch up to the record. And especially with TikTok and a record taking off on TikTok, they oftentimes separate the artist from the actual music. So you may be familiar with the music, and you even know, like Tyla, like she has, when you pair, because Water has such a strong marketing push. When you associate Water, you associate Tyla, but you really know her as the Water girl. So figuring out what artists need to do to replicate that success or to continue that success is very hard. So they have to be very creative, and you're just gonna have to hit the pavement. You're gonna have to really rely on fan engagement. You're gonna have to do grassroots. You're gonna have to be. It starts with being likable. So let's change that. Like your rep is off to a bad start. So you have to get likable, and then you have to. I don't want to, like, it's not healthy to do this, but it's probably the quickest and most efficient way for getting out of this limbo period that Tyla is in. You have to create more of a parasocial bond with your audience. Music is everywhere. It's an oversaturated career, and music isn't valued the same as it once was. Nobody can make a living off music, and it's very hard to make a living off creativity in general. So to rely on just music is going to be very difficult to sustain this career. So they have to lean on other things, but it's very easy to resort to shock and noisy tactics to cut through, and that's where having a very talented team comes into play. She can't be the pop star that she wants to be, that her team envisions, without a strong team. She can't do it alone.
Fully figure out who I am as an artist, but things just went, well, said the singer in a recent interview with Variety. Also, she released an EP a while ago titled WWP, and it's being reported by social media accounts that it sold 3.7K in the first week. Bear in mind, it's a 4-track EP that is a part of a larger mixtape set to be fully released sometime this year. I don't think it's that serious, but a lot of people are clowning her over it. Personally, if you're not a huge artist, and even then, I don't think it's fair.
EP is not meant to be judged. It's meant to. EP's meant to test the market and see how people are responding. It's not another album. It shouldn't be judged as critically as like an album, to be honest with you. So this is a parody account. You can't take parody accounts seriously, and you can't take any. If you're a content creator out there or an artist, do not take anything seriously that people comment or say anything about you and they don't have an avatar or a profile picture. Don't even respond. I don't respond to people that are not even brave enough to show their face on social media. They could be anything. They could be hiding. I don't take that seriously. I really don't.
To be pressured to sell a lot in regards to EPs and mixtapes, because these are projects artists put out to mainly feed their audience or feed their core. There's no doubt about it. We are currently in the best time to be a musical artist.
I'm gonna hear his point before giving my opinion. Let me hear his point.
Seeing how easily accessible artist DIY information is on the internet.
Oh, okay, I see the curse of blowing fast. Pink Panthers. Pink Panthers is very unique. I think this is one of the more challenging times. It's maybe one of the more easier times to blow up, but to sustain that is probably, we're in the hardest time. We're in uncharted territory for sustaining a career. That's why everybody's talking about we have no song in the summer, but I bet you it's been so many songs. Probably millions of songs all across all genres have dropped in the summer, and we're still saying we don't have a song in the summer. That's a problem. That's a serious problem. And I don't think a lot of artists that have blown up even 3 years ago are still maintaining that. Like within the 3 to 5 year window, they're dropping like flies. So yeah, I'll see. I can see what he's saying. I think Pink Panthers is one of the few unique ones because she's going to stay around. She's going to be here as long as she wants to be. Because one of that is she's likable. That's also a really big part of it. She's likable. If she was uppity, quote unquote uppity, they would be dissecting and critiquing her every move as well.
You can record yourself, do the bare minimum in terms of production value, go viral and get discovered. And the next thing you know it, you're signing a $500,000 recording contract with a major label.
Okay, although these are the possibilities, I disagree that it is easy. I think going viral is not a strategy that you should prepare for, which is, that's why a lot of artists scramble once they get their hit, because they're preparing for like, you can't, when you're preparing for a career in anything, you're preparing for hopefully worst case scenario, right? And that you're thinking of counter strategies. If this doesn't work, we got this. If this video doesn't work, we got that, this and this and that. And if everything fails, you have a catalog that can at least keep you as a working musician. Very rarely do artists go viral. Very rarely. So, and also with limited resources to get a career started in music, we're talking thousands of dollars. To go viral from your bedroom, next to impossible. I wouldn't recommend relying on virality. I would recommend on building a steady fan base, brick by brick by brick by brick. And after every brick, every dollar you make, you reinvest it right back into yourself and you enhance the quality. It may be cute to do DIY at a certain stage, but at some point, how people measure how they're going to respect you and how they measure how you're growing and how you're leveling up is when you're reinvesting into yourself and you're increasing the quality. But I get what he's saying. I'm not really mad at what he's saying. I'm just saying that I think it's really hard with this strategy, given that it's more possible than in recent years. It's not something that people can rely on more often than not.
Who would then take that viral song, maybe give it a more professional studio feel, and start marketing said viral song to radio and streaming services. Before you know it, you're an overnight success, baby, and everyone's asking, where the fuck did you came from? Which leads us to the next point, the curse of blowing up too fast. What does Ice Spice, Lil Nas X, Jack Harlow, and Tyla all have in common? They all blew up too fast, which is a caveat people tend to ignore when an act is on their journey of stardom. Because while getting fame really fast can work in your favor, it can be a double-edged sword.
I kind of don't agree with Jack Harlow because I saw him struggle. He had a brief struggling period, though it wasn't long. It wasn't like the first song he put out, like a Lil Nas X, Old Town Road, and it took off. Jack Harlow put out like 2 or 3 different mixtapes with like 15 songs each mixtape before his first hit. Before What's Poppin'? What's Poppin' was like 2019. He had been putting out music for 3 or 4 years prior. But there's a mixture with Jack in terms of there was organic push and there was the huge label push that made him look like, where did he come from? So, I understand.
Because the faster you rise, the quicker you fall. And unlike the 2000s and prior, it is a lot more noticeable when an artist is falling off due to social media and how news about the downfall of insert artists.
Yeah, motherfuckers are rude when you're falling off. They're rude. Rude as shit, man.
Name travels at light speed. Today, you can watch an artist's career fall in front of your eyes, right on your phone. Their Spotify monthly listeners go down, they start losing followers across their social.
Which they should hide that shit. That is not healthy for artists. They should hide those numbers. They should really hide, like how Apple Music does. They should hide that shit. I'm a huge advocate of that. It's leading to a competitive market which benefits only Spotify. Because it's not benefiting the artists. They get paid like shit. Those splits are garbage.
During a scandal, and there is the trend of canceling campaigns. And I'm not saying artists are supposed to stay on top forever, although who wouldn't? But like I said, before the social media era,
Mike Jones!
When an artist fell off, people went on with their day. Back then, you'd randomly wonder what happened to Chameleonaire, Mike Jones, or Cat DeLuna, and moved on with your day.
There was some. I haven't thought of Cat DeLuna in years. Holy. But one of the greatest moments of like you just sitting there, you was probably eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I don't know. You're doing something. completely random, and you just think about what the fuck happened to them, and you go look. I think it's a beautiful experience to be like, oh, they're still putting out music. Oh, this shit's actually good. That's actually fire too. That experience is fire too. But it's also fucked up when you go back and look at them and like, oh shit, they are going out sad. Damn, that also hurts too.
Something very human about being hot today and not the next back then. But now, baby, it's an event, way more newsworthy and the new spectacle. And to clarify, fast fame is necessarily synonymous with a premature career. Rather, the period between an artist getting a little mainstream attention or traction on social media to them skyrocketing in the public. So one can experience fast fame even if they've been in the game for 10 years. An artist that is currently going against the grain of being overly saturated in the public is Pink Pantheress, aka Pink Panthy. Her team could have easily given her the Ice Spice stimulus package, which was to make Ice seem larger than she really was. However, Pink and her team haven't taken that route. Instead, Pink and her team has taken the route of focusing on her core audience and really paying attention to her peers' mistakes such as...
She does really well focusing on her core audience. Really well. Bravo on her and her team.
As Ice Spice and Tyla, who are now fighting to match their initial success. With her gradual rise, Pink is being granted a level of acceptance that Tyla doesn't have. And it's not that no one knows who Pink is. No, we all know who Pink is. But it feels like she doesn't want to know who everyone else is, which makes her more intimate in this fast-paced music climate, resulting in normal expectations from
Booking.com. I also wouldn't say normal because they was frying her. Like she did like a festival, and they were like, you had like a TikTok hit and nobody knows or nobody was there. Like she still got it too. Like the internet is brutal.
Doesn't want to know who everyone else is, which makes her more intimate in this fast-paced music climate, resulting in normal expectations from the public, which works in her favor because the element of surprise is on her side. Going forward, I think this will now be the new standard for newer artists to take more time to develop before, trying to impact the wider audience.
That's the thing. The major labels don't have, that's if they wanted to do artist development. It takes too many resources to develop artists. And it's just not something they're interested in when they can just pump up these deals, sign. That would make it more favorable on the artist side. But the industry is not. How many labels you think? There's a reason why there's not a lot of superstars or the quality of albums or the qualities of singles have depleted. It's just that it's not in their best interest. It's not in their best interest. Like this, just they don't make the same money off music anymore. It would be a whole bunch of artists signing 360 deals. Like it'd be so many artists. Like I don't know, you can't ask for artist development and ask for like artist empowerment and make sure artists get equitable and favorable deals. It's just like if we want artist development, they're going to have to do a long route independently, which the only way they're going to do that if they self-fund their own careers. But who has the money to do that, especially in today's economy? So the only way I see that happening is that they're being brought in by a production company who is already notorious for taking all of the artist's money. Like a production deal is not favorable for the artist. So it's just kind of like, we want artist development, but at what cost? That type of support is expensive. So are we just saying to hell with the major label system? There's artists that need the major label support. And they're not going to take this long to develop. They're not going to roll the dice on you more often than not. You usually have to prove yourself in a way that like you have to single after single, hit after hit, and then they'll reinvest back to you and do artist development over the long haul. It's not upfront anymore is what it seems like.
even more time when compared to artists of the past. The industry need to figure out a way how to make artists fail in silence again, because it's all a part of the
That's just impossible with social media. It's impossible because they're relying on YouTube. They're relying on TikTok and Instagram to be part of the marketing campaign. Like if you don't get popping on TikTok, on YouTube, or one of these avenues, your single's not coming out. So with you working your record in plain sight, you're going to fail in plain sight.
artist development process.
Now, I'm not saying those correlate in terms of just like, but if on your way down, on your way up, if you were using TikTok, which most artists have to, I would say 97, 98% of artists have to, on your way up, they saw you working your record and then you pop, then they're gonna write they're gonna write commentaries, video essays, think pieces, tweets. It's just inescapable. That's all gonna live on social media, because just as you were climbing up as part of your digital footprint, you coming down is going to be a part of your digital footprint. There's no